Welcome to the website's call. It's 21st December, and we'll be starting in about a minute. If you can see the website's meeting minutes on my screen right now, please do go open the link that has just been sent in the chat and add your names to the attendees list. If you don't have access to it, please speak up. We'll get you access. And that's it. Do we have any newcomers in the call today? If there is anybody, please speak up so that I'll proceed with a short intro to the call and you'll have a chance to introduce yourself.
No. Looks like we've got a bunch of old timers on the call.
All right. Well then, I guess we'll start in a minute for all the latecomers to join. Tanuj will just be joining us. But any idea?
Let me ask him.
Sure. Hey, Augustine, nice to see you back, by the way.
Shuri, good afternoon, everyone.
Hey, good afternoon. It's more towards night for me, but definitely. How have you been? How is it going?
Yeah, going good, just getting better. How about you? Are you enjoying the festive period?
That's nice. It's great to have you back.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Yeah.
let's start. We're 4 minutes in. Were you saying something?
No, you can go on.
All right. Tanuj, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, let me just present my screen.
Sure.
Is this visible?
Yep.
So we have been thinking about how to do this for about a week now, and before there was a circle around this. So as Lee suggested, I tried to put lines from the mesh tree to all the different meshes, and this is how it will look.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Well. Huh. Mm-hmm. Apparently, I don't have any words today. Nice. Uh, nice. This is about what we thought it might look like, I suppose. It when the line that's drawn, this is harder to do, and this actually might be easier to do if there were the surface mesh icon was captured inside of a circle or a rectangle or something, but that the green line itself might only go up to the edge of the icon of all of the icons. I mean, that way,
Yeah,
that you,
I can do that. This was just I was using a I just drawn some circles and I was trying to move the line around one by one. Now I have to cut short from all the edges.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah. I wonder what it looks like when the Meshery logo gets even bigger. Like,
If one thing if I can go till here, but what I found was if I try to overlap the logos, uh, it will either be that mm, mesh will make a hole inside the Meshy logo, or the Meshy logo will overlap the service mesh logo.
gotcha. Oh, I see.
I didn't find a way to something like decrease the opacity so that uh,
Oh,
it doesn't.
okay. Okay, nice. Okay. I might fiddle with it just a little bit to see about either the opacity or maybe a different way is to reduce the size of the font, the size of the service mesh logos. Um, that might give, then you get a little more room for the Meshery logo. But uh, but this is nice. You were able to get rid of the circle, and then if you give us the full animation again, how's it looking? So we kind of start off with four. Yeah.
I can control this, but uh, I can do something like the icons will be together for the first, but no lines. Then gradually we'll get four lines, then all the others.
Yeah. I wonder. So I know that this is. I mean, in ideally there wouldn't be. We wouldn't have those first four. Like um, because people are left wondering. I don't know, or maybe not. Maybe we can tell the story where, hey, it looks like Meshri manages four, and then we start to tell the full story where it's not just those; it's a bunch of others. Um,
Uh, we can do like this. Uh, Initially, there will be mesh only, but uh, after that, mm, either they will two of these will come together or these two will come together. But it will be difficult to do one by one because we
right,
don't have so much space.
right. Yeah, it's probably that. My gut tells me that it would be okay if we did two at a time uh, in some areas, but started off with just Meshery. I think it would be so. If we imagine what the page will say, if you scroll to the top, and by the way, this page we're considering that it's going to have the um, like a triangular background to it. I don't know how else to say that. Um,
Like in mesh,
yeah, yeah. Like,
that is not merged, I think.
okay, but it'll have anyway. It'll have a big splashed background, and that background would probably overlap somewhat with the animation here. Um, and so we would be telling people Meshry is the multi-mesh manager or the service mesh management plane. It manages, these different. I don't know if we can't think of anything more creative. The text will be a short description of each of the service meshes and kind of their unique different, their unique properties of a service mesh. And so it would be it's the multi-mesh story. Just kind of thinking aloud about that story and then the way that it's depicted visually. Yeah, let's try having a couple show up at a time, and in some respects, when that were to happen, it almost, as long as the animation feels good, part of the effect of having a couple show up at a time is like, wow, there's so many here. It's going so fast. I don't know. I guess we would be doing it less for that effect and more for just eliminating any confusion as to why there's these initial first four. I mean, if we ended up kind of sticking with those first four, it's kind of an interesting thing. It's a little bit frustrating, but there's a lot of surface meshes out there. There are three or four that most people could mention or think of. And those are probably the three or four, the most popular ones that we would show as the first three or four. It's kind of, which, which is fine. It's sort of what people would expect. Like, oh, Mastery manages these three that I know of. And then as they scroll, they would be surprised, like, no, Mastery manages all these others that you didn't know of. Which is probably a decent message. It's kind of frustrating to me on one hand because we end up reinforcing the winners. Like we give them special consideration and we sort of show them first. And I say that's a little bit frustrating because for my part anyway, I desire for the world to be um, full of different service meshes. And so I was just having this discussion on the back cover of one of the books that's being written now. Um, on the back cover, it will say, "Oh, you'll learn about these meshes and other meshes," and these meshes part, it will list out the specific names of the most popular ones, and it just sort of reinforces that they're the winners. And anyway, so, random side note there, Tanuj, thanks for this. You did wrangle the by the time this thing is done, you might have rewritten the whole thing. I don't know. Um, it's looking good. It's ready for some text content. It's ready for just some of those refinements about. I know we might want to reduce the opacity overall of some of the other service mesh icons. I'm curious for everyone else's opinion briefly because I didn't, and that is, do you feel like the Meshry logo is just sort of intermixed inside of the others, like it's not prominent enough, or that maybe we would do well not to have full color service mesh icons, rather have them um, reduced in opacity a little bit, like have them slightly transparent so that they're not as vivid as the Meshry logo? Or is that unnecessary? Is Meshry already the center and already the focus?
Okay, so I will add few points. Like first of all, for the arrows, I think we should use means we can use or we should use the dark jungle green color instead of this color. I think that would be better considering the color of Meshri logo is almost similar to the arrow. That would a bit of take away means attract the look interest more on the Meshri logo itself other than the arrow. And I think the arrows should be away from the icons, right? Like it will be away or it will be like this only.
Uh, you, what do you mean by away?
Like currently the arrows, if I can understand correctly, it's from the center of the Meshri logo, right?
Yeah, it's
So it should be from outside of the logo, and for the other logos also it's bypassing into them. Like for Linkerd or Octane, you can see the arrow is inside the icon itself. Yeah.
eh, yeah. That was. I'm going to trim out the logo. This was. I was just trying to take a center and first draw the lines. Then, according to the height of the length of the service mesh, I will trim it down a little bit. And uh, the other point that you were telling, think I'm not drawing the logo like from here to from Meshy to here. I think what's happening is that uh, arrow is the arrow and the mesh service mesh are coming together, so it's feeling like it is originating from Meshy to the service mesh, not the other way around. Not sure that is the case, or it may be the
Oh,
case that I am taking Meshy as a center and drawing the lines, so that's how SVG works maybe in animation. So I can try to reverse that and check if that make a difference.
okay. And also the farther lines, like the arrows towards the outer circle of meshes, can the arrows be of different size, like to create it more like a web or a nest rather
Uh,
than
you,
just having the
uh,
same?
you means like not having it as a uniform
Yeah,
and
not having the uniform line length. Yeah,
yeah, means
different length of arrows.
yeah, yeah, more like a web rather than
Yeah,
uniformity.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that will help in drawing the arrow to this Nginx also instead. And I should remove this one, right? Because there is, I think there is 9 currently.
Not
Um,
sure.
traffic mesh was just when is going into beta today. So traffic mesh will be good to show.
Yeah. And is Nginx there or
Hmm.
I'm not sure.
Yep, it is. Um,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact, I think that yeah, I don't know that we'll have to ask the product team about whether or not they want the Nginx logo or the Nginx service mesh logo. Like that's supposed to be the product logo, but the team was debating it at the time. Oh, for now, it doesn't matter. Yeah, the Nginx should be there,
Okay.
and the Nginx logo itself is just an N, but the Nginx service mesh logo is this. They're yeah. Anyway, cool, nice, nice. All right.
All right. If that's it,
Yeah.
let's move on to the next topic. I think Nikhil, you're up.
Okay, so yeah, there was a recent PR from. Wait, I will share the screen. Yeah, still. So is my screen visible? Hopefully it is. Yeah.
Yep, it is.
So there was a recent PR from me which changes a lot of the files. Basically cleans up a lot of unwanted CSS and updates a few other pages like adding shadows to the blocks, updating the icons, and also another thing was yeah. So like for one thing, like for the news page, for example, it's okay, yeah. Currently, there's an external icon. So the current card didn't have this feature. Like even the external icons points out to a different link that should open on a new tab. But in the current card, I don't know. Jash was working on it or pointed out this error a few weeks back, but I'm not sure if that was fixed or not because on the current deployed site it was not working. So I just updated it. Like on the current hover, this external icon won't be glowing or affected. But when the user hovers on it particularly, only at that time it would work. So as to uh, signify that okay, that's an external icon and that has a separate link on of itself.
And Nikhil, when you click on the see more or the rest of the card, it does it still take you? Yeah, okay,
It would take to the individual page.
nice.
And the same works for the events page also. Yeah. So for this one, I was wondering like since this whole event card would take us to a different page. So I think we should add the same thing to it or like glow this one out separately. Don't know.
Yeah. This one's a little bit harder. Shriti, thank you for taking each of these items. Here's another item: is that we'll want to move the month in front of the day here on the date, and the can you go can you go back real quick, Nikhil? The margin on
On
uh,
which one? Lee?
oh back to the newsroom or to the
Sure. Yeah.
have a look. Take a look at the margin on the card here, and then as we transition into the workshops.
Yeah, the thing is, what means I don't know who was working on it. So,
Sure.
only the cards component has only been used in the block grids page, and other pages are using their means the components are built up again and again instead of reusing it. So that's the reason there is a difference in design on
Yeah,
a lot of
that's a
them.
shame. So yeah, we should, if we can, we should try to centralize just that way.
Sure, sure. I've already updated for a lot of them. I missed out this events one. Like I
Oh,
wasn't sure if it. I don't know if it wasn't using that one, so I thought it would be affected as well. But I will update this one too.
oh sure. And they don't all have to look identical. Like if we have, and we have a lot of cards on the site. So if they all, well, we intentionally do want some different styles, but
Yeah, like
but yeah,
for the events, this design will be as it is. Like only the date and the external icon.
okay.
For the blogs, we will have the author, date, and see more. For news, there will be a external icon as well. And for books, I don't, yeah.
Sweetie, can you capture that note about the margin, if you would?
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
There will only be a author name, and I think for this one particular, it should be shifted to the left.
Okay. Yeah, on this one, we can, since we're not going to have a date,
Oh, it's also coming out.
we can let the title wrap the line because these
Okay,
are
means
highly,
the complete title.
yeah.
Okay, we'll have to look into it. No issues.
Yeah.
We'll have to pass the props to it so that
Uh-huh.
for different pages it works differently. No issues.
Oh, yeah. The other thing I know, Nikhil, I'm going to say this out loud, not that you aren't already tracking it, but I think just for completeness for everyone else, and that is the edges on these cards. The shadow is, it's like the shadow is not is the shadow is focused on some other element other than the card because the radius of the outside, the corners don't have a shadow, and so
So for that reason, I just added a border radius, but that didn't. If I know the reason behind it, like why that is happening. The issue is that to get a better effect on the cards, like not having a much glowing background or shadow for it, we need to add a Z index, which is called for the shadow, and because of that, it's moving a bit behind the card centrally. The spread radius is getting reduced, and so that's the reason the corners are getting chopped off.
let me repeat that to you because that is the box shadow that's being applied is not actually being applied to the external rectangle. It's being applied to an element underneath the
Yeah.
rectangle.
So this particular value, if I decrease it to zero, you can see it's uniformly all around.
Oh, okay.
But to get a better effect, I'm reducing it to a negative value, and that's the reason that we are getting that effect.
Oh, oh, okay. It is actually applied to the outside of the card. What's going on? Well, see, the thing is when you darken it, um, oh no, okay, yeah, it's not.
To get a better effect, to add a 3D look, we need to do it to make it negative, and that's the reason it's getting means actually it's being applied to the whole card itself.
Is it?
But just the thing is, it's getting a bit. The spread is being reduced a bit, so
Yeah.
that's the reason the corners are not covered.
Does that make sense though? Like, there's something else odd about this because that doesn't happen on, or I haven't noticed it happening on other cards that like this. Actually, the way, hmm, hmm.
Let me check this.
I don't know. So this doesn't have a border radius or much of one anyway.
Yeah, so like I was saying, these are different cards.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will compare the CSS for both of them
Cool. Okay.
and
Yeah.
check if that can be fixed.
Oh yeah.
So
No, it's a point of education actually for me. Just that would anyway to your questions on the workshop cards here that they are different. That can you go ahead and click on just like the KubeCon North America? Yeah. Okay. So on that hyperlink, right now we're taking them to the event. Okay, if you click on like the purple, oh, I see that this is an event, not a workshop. Okay. So if you, if you click, yeah, if you click on the logo or the picture, does it take you to the extra? Okay. And if you go back, is there anywhere that it doesn't take you just to, it's just the whole thing is the same link?
Yeah, yeah. The whole
Oh,
thing
okay.
has the same link.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense about putting the external,
The news card
mhm, mhm.
makes to a different link. Like if I click
Mm,
on the extra icon.
okay. While most users wouldn't see this, you actually are telling them something slightly different. When you hover on the card here, what does not animate is the external link. And so, okay. And so they stay within the page when they click on the card. It's only when they hover over the external link icon that they actually go, and it does animate separately. And okay, well, cool. We're gonna have some sophisticated users. It's not important enough for us to good. Like if this was an app or something, we would be like, well, look, like that's just it looks too similar. People are going to be surprised when they're between the two, but that's not the case here. So nice. Okay. Yeah, good. Good.
Yeah, actually, I couldn't figure out any other better way. Like this complete page doesn't have a link to that, except this. Yeah, this points out to the same link.
Um,
But yeah,
cool. Does this all work? Do we have that much white space between all the titles and the start of the paragraph on the other?
this one.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's the thing. The CSS needs to be clear for all of them. Like
Okay.
a lot of places, unnecessary paddings have been applied. I will clear them out as well. Like we don't need a padding for this one as well.
Okay.
Because I've generalized for a lot of them using the REM unit instead of pixels. So
Nice.
I will generate this one. And also the landscape has been updated to use the new icons.
Oh.
The timeline has been updated to use a dark juggle green, and shadow has been added to this part, and effect for the tables.
Huh. Ooh. Ah. Can you toss in a little extra padding on the table cells if you don't mind, like on the see where we've got service mesh client library. I think vertically I don't know we do need to let these breathe a little bit more slightly,
Sure, sure, sure. I'll add a bit of padding.
and you round it off the corner a little bit. Oh, look at that! Like everywhere that you're. I think there's some issue with your CSS. I don't know, maybe not. Like you see the lower right hand corner with the
Yes, yes, yes.
you just got weak shoulders, man.
Like the thing is, what I am trying to do is give them a 3D effect, kind of like to come have the shadow from beneath,
Mm.
but I will have to go back to the basic one to use the shadow all around it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. I mean, I don't know. What does everyone else think? Like, does it? I had initially thought, oh no, we're sort of missing the shadow in the corner, but like to the extent that that's intentional, do those corner shadows strike anyone else differently? I knew it. I know we have a bunch of highly opinionated people on this call. This is so. Um, what's the other thing that's happening on this page is that Augustine's evil plan is coming together, and it's looking pretty good. Like are you using dark jungle green on the
Yeah,
categories?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I've
Nice.
updated the colors.
Yeah, and we're working on a
For
new
heading,
icon.
it's
Oh,
black.
okay.
For heading,
We
it's
might,
black, and for that, so yeah.
if nobody has an issue with this, we might bump up those individual sections where we say comparison of service mesh strengths, service mesh time. service mesh timeline, like we might increase their size just a little bit.
Like the
Not,
complete set, right?
or no, the individual section titles, service mesh timeline, to increase the font size a smidge.
Okay, okay. For this one, right?
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Sure.
Does anybody else bothered if I say smidge? I just we want to bump it up a smidge. Um, my wife's been giving it to me in the neck. Just anytime I say smidge, she's like, "That's not a word. What are you doing?" I'm like, "It's a smidge, just a smidge. I just want a little bit." So we're going to bring forth a new yellow button there as well. Augustine, do you have that already? I know it's only been a little while, so it's okay.
Also, one thing I would like to confirm, like for the headings, shall we be using the dark juggle green? Because it's almost similar to the black color. So in that way, we'll be using the jungle green.
I have a question. Is it actually called Dark Jungle Green, or is that something that you came up with?
Asked actually,
Yeah,
he gave it a name.
it's yeah, the tool that we're using, when you choose certain color, any color, it assigns it a name, and so that is, so technically we didn't make it up. It the tool gave it, which is actually really helpful because if you're trying to say, oh, it's the light green, it's the dark green, it's like, so now
Yeah,
the other
lot of
two,
greens.
the CSS now captures them as well. So like one of them is called Caribbean green, the other one's called Keppel, dark jungle green, saffron for yellow, and charcoal for, so yeah, once you get to know what those terms mean, then it's a lot easier. But
Yeah,
so good. If you would, it's the service mesh landscape, or not but service mesh landscape. That's good at SEO, a good search engine optimization on the, if you add
cool,
service
cool.
mesh.
Sure, sure. Yeah, I think that would be enough
Nice.
from my end. Yeah.
It's really nice. The timeline looks really nice. Anybody else have comments on this?
A separate page comment in the books page. There was an abstract also for each book. That has is that intentional or
Yeah, yeah, that was intentional. Like, I intentionally removed that part because it was a very small amount of text for a book, which I don't think was necessary a lot.
yeah, okay.
Oh yeah. So we're, by the way, on this page, we're shooting for
A
the
different design.
yeah. Nice. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Nikhil. Tommy is going to share here in just a second. I figured that there's a lot of things that are being driven out of Figma, out of a shared Figma project. But this is what we're shooting for next with the books. A bit of a, I don't know that it's a slider. It's a carousel somewhat. But do we have an example of what that slider looks like? Excuse me. We don't have this yet, do we? Okay. Nope. But if anyone doesn't have the link to Figma, it'll go into the chat so that everybody should be able to get in and comment and do stuff. So cool. Thank you, Nikhil. That's nice. All right, Tommy. You're
Hi, good afternoon. Can everybody hear me?
hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Uh-huh. Yeah, pretty good. Or we can hear you pretty well.
Okay. So let me perfect. Mm, I'm coming.
Tommy, it didn't take long. You're already here representing your own page, your own full thing.
Okay, so with the design that was sent on Figma, yeah, so I've been able to implement it. I don't know why the images are not. I'm coming. Let me refresh. So there are some links that were put in the design around these map SVG stuff. Well, I'm still having difficulty fixing it, but then like working on it. But then I've been able to do the others. So this is well, the last image is okay loading, and yep, and the icon. Yeah, that's I guess what's left. So I'm almost done.
Oh, nice. Ishita Kumar, who's in that picture there, she didn't realize, she didn't know that I take that screenshot actually. She, hopefully she'll be pleasantly surprised. So by the way, everyone that's on the call, you'll notice that I think my face was in a couple of these. I really don't desire for my face to be in these, because I think my face is on, my face is in enough places and it doesn't need to be here. It's just that we only have so many photos suggested. So if any of you have photos, so actually, Mr. Lara, Nikhil, we might ask for your permission to use like your, how you, maybe it's not on this page, but it might be on the careers page. You know how you have you and Supam and have all joined at Red Hat. Like that's an awesome picture.
The one with the fedora.
Yeah.
Okay, that would be embarrassing, I guess. Not sure.
Okay. If there's one that's not too embarrassing, so this is a call for action. So Shivai probably has one or two where he's talking, he's giving a talk or something like that. Like if any of you have a picture, um, and you don't mind it being used on the site, um, think about it. Offer it up if you're inclined, because yeah.
Yeah, and
Sure.
I love to add that the this check out the Layer 5 community and join us on Slack. Like normally it was written in white in the design, but
Yeah.
then like it's not obvious. Like if I had like left it in white, it would be obvious that it's a link.
Yeah. Yeah. For my part, I don't know that I particularly enjoy the buttons with I don't know that doing this in general is desirous, where we've got a photo in the background of something. So yeah, I don't. Austin, what do you suggest here? Some.
Okay. That was what was in the design though.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's not your issue. Um,
Oh.
Austin, what else can we do here? Is there something different?
No, not really. I just finished the mobile view of it. So the only suggestion what we advise is adding more community related photos, like photos of people gathering, if that's possible, team members. That would make the page feel more lively. Just like you notice, instead of us using illustration, we switched to images, and it looks way better with the careers page and the community page. So it gives a sense of belonging when we use actual human photos.
It really does. Yeah, and COVID has gotten in our way a little bit with having more of these photos. But these are all of what's see the huh. Yeah. Oh, okay. Good. But actually, on the very bottom photo, there's kind of this outstanding issue with putting text on top of a photo. And for my part, I'm not convinced that we should do this here or in a couple of other places. Like, is there some other way of us achieving this?
Other way of us achieving it is if we could change the image, like something maybe like the one where you took photos with a lot of people at the background when you were sharing teas. That would look a bit better
Okay.
because it will look more
Or
community like.
probably if, or like if you darken the image,
Okay, there's an
like
overlay on the
if
image. It's around. Okay, try increasing the opacity of the overlay and see. Because but if we increase the opacity of the overlay, we'll have to make all the text white. You get.
yeah, I get. Yeah, the green, yeah, I get.
So that's why the color contrast. So if we are to increase the opacity, you will now just remove all the green and make everything white.
A separate question, Lee. Are we going to use that? I don't know the name, Caribbean green or something, for the links in the page. Tommy, can you scroll up a bit?
Mm,
Yeah, yeah. It will work. I mean,
yeah,
for any of the links in the text,
yeah.
because
I felt like if you leave it as black, like it's not an obvious link.
yeah, yeah. That's why I know we need a color for the link. I don't know if we are going to use this one or not.
Right. Because the dark yellow or the yellow, that saffron, suffers a similar fate against a white background. It's the contrast is a little low. And Augustine, do we have a what else could we be doing here? The dark jungle green, it's too close to black, I suspect. We were using blue at one point.
The green works for
But then,
links,
yeah, but
but
then you.
but how about we use like a darker shade of green
So
for
It's
the
links?
it will look like black.
Yes. So look, it will look like black. So I think this works because putting yellow, maybe we could use yellow on when it is the overstate.
Yeah, but
Yellow
then
on
it will be like too
overstate of
many
the link.
colors.
Yes. So we do not want too many colors. So that's why I'm using yellow on overstate and using green on links. Then using black or jungle green on just text.
um, told me if you would, and by the way, and we should probably be trying to control this as centrally as possible. But yeah, while we, the two tones of green that we have in the logos, the lighter one is the name that it goes by is Caribbean green, and the darker one is Keppel. So just to confirm that the hyperlinks that we have, that they're using the darker green Keppel to have as much contrast as possible against the white background.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that that works. I'm also not entirely convinced that it does. I think that it does, but yeah. But let's keep trying it. Let's use that Keppel darker green and let it settle in. Let it nice. So the this isn't so feedback on the page told me that again is under your control, but you're adhering to the design, and that is the map, the journey map that we have. It I guess we haven't created a number of new icons yet, but if you scroll up to that journey map, it's a little, it's round and somewhat cartoonish. And that can be okay so long as we're doing the same in other areas that we're not just yet, though. It's also straight up black, whereas the rest isn't. I don't know. There's maybe some things to do with this SVG. My hope was that we were going to be able to, on each of those cards, or on each of the sections in that brochure or in that map, is that we would be able to have the newcomer's welcome guide, the the welcome guide, the newcomer's guide, and the Layer 5 repository overview. We could like place links within them.
Yeah, but then like looking at it, even this, I don't see how feasible it is. First of all, like what I was thinking was that we could use like a very, because this number one is like too dark. Number two, if we place the links that are supposedly green and the overlap on it, there's some text that will be hidden on the black.
Yeah, maybe yeah, maybe we have the links there, but not using text. Maybe if someone hovers over one of those rectangles, that it changes color and they see text that says, I mean, there's different ways of bringing that. So that may stretch. I don't know. Is that do you are you comfortable in trying to explore that, the
Okay.
highlight? Sorry, I interrupted you. I didn't hear what you said.
I said okay. I'll try to figure out something to do about it.
Okay, nice. This is gonna be cool. This is good. And yep, and it comes up under community/newcomers. Nice. This will be referenced every week. Any other feedback for Tommy?
Tommy can check out the mobile responsive view I just finished designing.
Okay, will do.
See how it helps.
Nice. All right. Very good. Okay.
All right, Lee, you're up next.
Okay. I think this is hopefully fairly brief. so, um, so, so by the way, I dropped the link to Figma into the chat. So hopefully everyone should be able to view. If you can't, please say so. It's important that you can get in and at least comment and review, look at the designs. Note that the way that you'll navigate Figma is here. That there's some of these Figma pages that have multiple site design pages, and others that maybe just have an individual page. But here's the mobile view that Augustine was just mentioning. This makes sense. It's nice. That's what I would expect. I think the only place that gets a little bit tight potentially is here. But, the lack of differentiation between the columns is probably bad. Like topic, presenters, resources, that
Yeah,
that needs to be better clarified.
yeah, I'll work on that.
Oh, nice. Also, if we get something of a standard table style, that would be good because we could apply it here where we have individual color for individual rows as well.
Yeah,
Does that make
so
sense?
I was just going to refer the same. Like, if the table that we have for the landscape, if we repeat it, that would be fine, or should that be updated?
Seems fine to me.
Like the colors can be changed using the separate CSS for that particular file. Otherwise, the component, like the table component, can be taken how to create that component, and can be taken from the landscape page itself. Like a proper table would give a better structure to itself.
Cool. Cool. Okay. So before we go, before we go through my stuff, let's talk about Shivai and Navendu a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so Shivai and Navendu, if are you guys able to get into, well, like one thing to do? So while this call isn't entirely focused on Layer 5 NG, like there are other front end based projects that we talk about on this call, it is turned into much more of a focus on Layer 5 NG because we're trying to get the site public, here in a week and a half, and so you are highly encouraged to grab one of these designs that has yet to be implemented and take it away. Shivai, I don't, Tanuj, is there anything, I don't know that there's anything left that Shivai might do on the animated terminal. Because I think it's about complete. I think it's just content that's needed, or actually, it is Josh on? Because I guess the thing that does need to be done is we need to take the animated terminal and put it onto a page that has the splash background. And I don't know that that's really enough for Shivai to do. That's so here's one. We don't really have a design yet, but there's a brand. There's a Layer5io/brand today that needs to come over.
Like the branding page that we have for Mesh Reel, then the other projects that we see on the regular website.
Yeah, and no doubt that Austin can make this look better than it is, but we're generally, I mean, it can be different things, but we're sort of generally shooting for something like this. We don't have this just yet, but I don't think we can necessarily go wrong with what's over here. Anyway,
Okay. No, we can make it better. This looks similar to a discussion we've had in the past. The discussion about branding. This looks very similar to it.
Yeah.
So we'll get it right.
So I don't know if that's the, I'm not sure if that's the best one to jump on since there isn't a design just yet.
Yeah.
Nikhil, do you know? So no one's doing, no one's doing the /contact, which, by the way, while we're not prototyping it, or we're not, like the way that this is supposed to work is we're supposed to have these boxes. You'd click on contact and it would, I don't know that the intention is to move someone to a different page, but rather just expand the.
Yeah. And usually, I guess, like, it shouldn't take that much amount of space, anyways. Even if you're not expanding it and we're just keeping it quite simple, where the person is putting in all their information, usually we find that it's always exposed only, it's not hidden.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. There's half of what you said that I agree. Yeah, I do think that these are probably, these look pretty. They also are on the verge of being not sophisticated because they are so large. Like this works for a mobile view, but it sort of looks childish because they're so big here. In terms of like, but I don't know, like it would be, it's okay if we're not showing it to them until they click, in part just because as a page overall, this looks okay. This actually is not quite, there's some changes that need to happen on here. I think I commented on this, but it's that we're not, if you go to contact here, there's things about a partnership, things about getting support, or if you're interested in a career. And then there's a contact. I think what's, I guess, is that, Augustine, is this intended to be the about page? And we're just kind of intermixing contact and about?
That's the contact us page. The contact us page. I just shortened those partnership and all the into the text, into those cards like the email and all. I think we've done the about us page. The about us page is this.
Okay, so here's the about us. Okay,
Yeah,
and
the about us page is done.
this makes sense. This looks good. I think, yeah, it might be that what we would do here is on the contact us that we would probably, like, I don't see where we are capturing partners or a partnership
So
or support. And
I'll
that would,
add them. I'll add them to the contact us page because I just did the stuff you commented on about when they click the contact, that's when the form now shows to the user.
nice.
I will just put those partnership because initially I just shortened those partnership into the get in touch us text. So I'll make them into card like
Oh, okay.
structure and then fix up the page.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. It may, yeah. It might be that those are able to take over the, I would say that this is not important, I guess is what I would say. And maybe this isn't to the extent that we have it on about. It is important to the extent that, like, this is how you can get in touch, like, hey, where we are. Maybe in an unoriginal way, it would take more of this type of a shape. And that would give us some room for the, the other two, careers and partnership, like
Yeah,
career.
let me fix that up now.
Okay. So Shivai, those are open for, um,
So that is the contact us, and the other one that you mentioned, uh, the branding was not finished up, right? So I guess, like, if you want, I can take up the contact then.
oh, nice. Yeah, if you would.
Just
Um,
throw the starters and probably I can move on to something else.
nice. Okay. Very good. And then, yeah, a modal for the contact form would work as well. Like Nikhil was saying, that would work. And as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
so Shabai, as you think about that, we on the back end, like, hey, where are we going to send that? Well, we don't really have the thing that we have today for the stuff like this is Mailchimp,
Yeah.
and so
We can get it saved to the Mailchimp's database. Like, not sure if we can connect that, but
yeah, yeah. Let me get you an account or something like that, so you can.
okay.
Yeah, and also the subscribe button on, like, below at the footer it should be connected, because right now it's not going to anywhere.
Ooh, good point.
Subscribe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the yep, and that does go to Mailchimp.
So we'll be
Today,
having two different forms, right? Like two different databases, one for subscribing and one for contacting.
yeah, totally. So when we don't have the contacting today,
Yeah.
but, um, yeah, good call out, Tommy.
Also, just one quick question. Since you said that the earlier contactors page had the partners and support, so are we planning to keep that, or should we go ahead with the current design that Augustine has designed?
Yep, I think Augustine's going to work those into the new design.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and then Navendu, were you saying it is of interest for you to work on this site, or looking for elsewhere?
Yeah, I will just check out the issues and like if something comes up that I can work on, then I will work on it.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
On this site or in Meshery, or
Yeah, I'm still kind of like learning about like the whole machinery and service meshes. So like meanwhile I will work on the websites. So I think that would be best. Yeah.
oh, nice, awesome. Um, is anyone working on the careers page?
It's complete.
Oh, it is. Okay. Okay. So then to wrap up, so we're just a couple minutes after the thing that I was working on last night was, and I haven't seen these comments yet, but was that it seemed like the font that we're using called Canella's Soft, it's being applied. It's or we're trying to apply it broadly, but it isn't actually being affected a lot of times, and so I was trying to fix that, but to Nikhil and Tanuj, I haven't seen these comments to do. There's one thing in here. Let me maybe ask something different, and that is, it's a point of education, I think, for me, and hopefully this helps everyone else. That is the way the way that we're importing style. If we go into a given component, um, I don't know. Here's the 404 page. So this is a bad example. Contact. The style that I'm sorry, the CSS that we end up importing, we're embedding that CSS into JavaScript or, into a variable. And for my part, using Visual Studio Code, it's annoying. It's annoying that I don't get any contextual clues. I don't get any help when I'm writing the CSS because it's not being interpreted as CSS. It's being interpreted as a string by the IDE. And it seems like, that's not the only way to work with CSS here. Is it? Are we? Yeah.
The
Uh,
problem with React is that if we have a single CSS file, and even if we apply it to one page, React being a single page application, it will apply to every page. So that's why there are different workarounds for React. Like that one, it
Mm.
just it's a component library called styled component, which is used to apply to particular file CSS.
Regarding there's a plugin for VS Code using styled component. Like it will format it for you instead of it looking like a string.
Yeah, I think it's what's calling it. Let me remember the plugin.
Nice. It'll interpret your.
It,
Uh-huh.
it styles as like CSS instead of it looking like a string.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Even when that is inside of a variable like this.
Yeah.
And do you know the name of it?
I'm check.
Okay. Yeah. So Nikhil, I don't like the page that I was working on, the footer. It I don't believe that the global style was being imported. So if I went into the index of footer, um, there wasn't an import global style. And if I tried to, when I added that import and then added right here, I added like global style, it would error out. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
So the thing is, currently the fonts have only been applied to heading and paragraph. So other than that, those tags, if you use any other tag, it will use a default font, which I think is the other one, Open Sans.
Okay.
And the links don't have a font for right now. Like the body, yeah, the body font will be applied, which is the Open Sans. So if we add a font family for the A tag, anchor tag as well, like we have for H6 header and paragraph, then it would affect the footer section as well and the whole site overall. Because currently in the footer we are using anchor tags, the link tags for all of the uh, menu items that we're using in the footer,
Huh.
and that's the reason you are getting a separate font.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Um,
So I was suggesting the same in the comment in GitHub also. Like if we intend to update the font in the footer, instead of importing a style or font separately, we should update it globally so that it affects the site overall.
totally. Yeah. Agreed. Very good. And then maybe just the last thing was, hey, if we've had a sitemap for the site for quite some time. Um, I think we're fairly close to this is a copy of the original. I think we're fairly close to the original layout. There might be some changes, but it's in the community drive as well as now it's here in Figma. So for everyone to reference to the extent that you want to get a sense of the whole thing. So other than that, that's all that I have. Tanuj, thanks a bunch. He's got to go. And
Um,
VS styled component. Thank you, VS Code style.
I would say that for the fonts, because for uniformity's sake, like we can prefer to Google fonts in our config file, so you don't have to be importing the fonts and several places. Once you prefer it in your config file, like it prefetches for all the pages in that like project.
And do you mean like specific? So yeah. So here's an example of pulling those into CSS. But are you saying you can put them into your Gatsby config?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Tell me as we go to end the call if there's a link to how to do that, or if you know how to do that. Maybe that.
I'll send the link.
Okay.
Yeah. And one more thing. Okay, there are like so many repetitions in the config file. Like so like instead of like this, let me just say picking one now, like paths, directory names, source collections, programs. Instead of like we can just pick stop at collections and it to pick everything from collections instead of repeating it like all over.
Yeah, I don't know that I have an intelligent. That's great. Do you want
Uh,
to? Yeah.
you are suggesting to use the whole directory itself, right?
I didn't get that.
So the issue is that since this was a template before all, which we're using, so initially it was done with that sense so that I think to omit out the other files which we don't require, and I think that is most probably the reason. But since Tanu just left the call, he's the main person to add those plugins. I think would be knowing the exact reason for the same. There must be some reason. That's the reason we are adding it separate. I think before updating it, we should confirm that with them.
Okay, it's like it's the same thing. Even for the assets, like instead of I don't know, but then I feel like instead of like for assets now, you can stop at assets and everything in assets. You don't have to add like images. The file you're referring to, like the folder itself, like it will be able to access everything inside our folder instead of like repeating it all over. Then for collections, like we have so many collections.
Sure. I think yeah, that makes sense. If we can get away from repeating ourselves, that would be great. My understanding is that the challenge will be later when you try to refer to the blog collection, it won't know what you're talking about. Whereas
No,
here,
think GraphQL is another reason,
Yeah.
because of that we are using it this way so that we can refer it using the query. Otherwise, GraphQL won't be knowing the name through which it should refer to.
And you know, you can call all the folders like blog programs and everything. You can call it like in one line too. Instead of like calling it separately when you're like listening, you can call everything in one line. Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, have like a section for name, have a section for like collection.
Nice. If that's the case, I mean, yeah, Tommy, lead the way. Or like, you can see here how it's being used. That it's going to look for the collection blog and then gather up the stuff. But again, like if we're repeating ourselves unnecessarily, like we're using the blog collection that's specifically named to then generate a list of tags that then gets used to. But if there's more intelligent ways to do this without repeating ourselves, let's do it. You know.
And I have one quick last question. Like when are we like integrating Strappy with it instead of
Yeah, we after I don't know. Uh we looked at Strappy for a while and um found it to be it's I don't know, found it to be more of a pain in the rump than it was of value, at least initially. Um we didn't set it aside permanently. We just didn't really identify. I think it's kind of an open question. It's like, well, gosh, what value is it really adding? It's like, okay, the previews don't work very well. The we didn't we it didn't really. I don't think it gave us a point of enforcement to say, like, I think where Strappy, in my mind, could be helpful, and the reason that it would be desirous is that it would give us a WYSIWYG interface for writing a blog post, previewing it without having to, for the person that's doing it, that they don't have to go create blog posts, using Markdown and then storing the image files in one directory. And like it would hopefully make it quick for them to go through, write up a post, upload some images, see a preview, and that we could control what categories could be assigned, that the categories were kind of predefined.
yeah, and this even like regarding images now, like the images are like so large that even if you have like your internet is slow, like your the images won't load. But then if we're using Strappy, like you get to use this there's this library that Gatsby comes with. There's this library that comes with Gatsby. It gets to like reduce your um image
Yeah.
like yeah, data for the image.
And
That
yeah,
it even loads like with like a little less data. It reduces the distance, but then still keeps the image sharp.
yeah, there is a plugin that we're using here. I think I suspect it might be the same one. Now, if Nikhil, do you remember the name of the image or the name of the
Yeah, we are using the image sharp plugin already.
image sharp? Yeah.
Um, if but then like so some of the parts where they're like images, there's no like that like using that Gatsby fragment stuff to
Yeah. Tommy, say that again. Using Gatsby fragment. What?
yeah like the way like checking the whole project, the way we are importing images, like we are not using. I don't think we are making use of image sharp. Like it's there, I can see it in the plugins, but then I not implement. I don't think we're implementing it in the project.
All right. Or only do
We,
sporadically.
we are.
We are okay. O- okay. I've not sent though. Because when I checked the newcomers page, like initially, it wasn't implemented. So I guess probably that was the same for everything.
Right. Yeah.
So
Maybe because it was a brand new page that it hadn't been.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the thing is the plugin. I think the plugin works in a way like when we fetch a image from the GraphQL query itself. At that time, we apply the plugin, to format the image that we are fetching from the query, and then we are using it. So since that page was not using, not fetching any kind of data previously, I
Okay.
think it was not using the query. But you can see the plugin being used a lot of pages, and it optimizes the images accordingly for the.
Okay.
But yeah, but Tommy, if that's not the case, or like where you find that we're not using it, I mean, A, if that's not the case, what the behavior that Nikhil just described, or B, if that is the case, but we're not using it on certain pages, like, or if there's like any of those optimizations that you're talking about, that, um, show us the way,
All right.
um, but cool. All right. Well, we're a little over. I I've got a lot of eggnog to go drink, so I'm gonna. No. And nobody else does eggnog, huh? Nobody is. The Gatsby image wrapper. Yeah, totally.
Uh, One thing which I was discussing with Tanuj on Slack itself, like, is it better or is it redundant if we have a plugin? Like he was checking it for Netlify. Like if we comment on the PR, only at that time the deploy would trigger. Otherwise, it won't trigger the deploy, so that we save the build minutes somehow.
Oh, I need to go. Yep, that'd be good. I, uh, that'd be just fine. I think it would help because there's a number of things that don't need to have, because it's not just that the Layer 5 NG is using Netlify, but so is Meshry.io, so is SMP.io, SMP spec.io, so is the docs.meshry.io. And yeah, the account, like we're building more often in the than we need to. In the Meshry repo, we've tried to change it such that it only builds when there's a change to the docs. But even at that, it doesn't need to be all the time. And yeah, especially as people are putting up draft PRs, which is just fine. But when you go to make another commit to that draft PR, it kicks off another build, and it's not. And so yeah, to your point, a little more manual control might be worth it.
Yeah, like it can only be given to the organization members or the maintainers only, so that to control it to some level.
Yeah, or even if it isn't, and it's just that when you open up a PR and it says that we can have either in the PR template or as a comment from Netlify to say, if you want to build, if you want a preview built, comment, tag Netlify, like at Netlify build or preview, or yeah, I'm sure that's totally possible, entirely possible. Vineeth, do you want to talk about the mega menu?
Yeah, sure. I'll share my screen.
Sure. Before Vineet starts, if anybody wants to leave, if they have another meeting or something, you can. Thank you for coming on. Same time next week.
Take it away, Vineeth.
Yeah, sure. So, can you see my screen?
Yep.
So, regarding the mega menu, I'm partially implemented the new design what we wanted from the Figma design. So the font, you can. I mean, the fonts are not. I mean, the same. Like we are talking about previously, right? Quantela, soft,
Right.
Vanilla soft. They're not used. So maybe here and all. I mean, they're not used, and some buttons also not used. So you. Uh, the design is done, but the font is left.
Yeah, I think the the underscore under the menu items. I don't remember if we have that or not, um, but
No, that wasn't there, but we wanted that, right? I mean, we can remove that.
okay,
You wanted that, so I kept it.
okay.
I can remove that now.
I don't. I honestly don't know. I mean, I don't like putting it up like this is good, and we can, like you said, is a very quick change to turn it off. I mean, maybe putting it up like that is to try it. I don't know, but my
Also,
goodness.
I set the I set the width to the this menu. I mean, this total menu.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's okay. So it's a static width um, for every menu.
No, it is set to 100% of that. I mean, it is static. I mean, it is fixed to 100%.
Okay. Okay. So potential issues with this menu later on are when we have, let's say that we have 20 projects. I don't think we will, but let's say that we did. The height of the menu would just, is that fixed as well? I'm assuming it's fixed as well.
No, it's not fixed. I mean, it will. I don't think it's a good idea to put all the projects. I guess. I mean, it will extend till the very last.
Oh, okay. But yeah, to your
So
point,
maybe our top six project or something like that.
makes sense. When you, if you go to the community briefly, nice, and then
I
blog
mean,
it.
we also need to fix some images. I mean, the posters who are designing them need to do it a bit nice. I mean, nicely so that these kind of images are not on the front end. So this is partially cropped. Like these are pretty good images, so they fit nicely into this.
But to use an example, like when you go to community, that Service Mesh Con North America 2020, that image, did you didn't you didn't manipulate the original image, correct? You're just applying, you're just letting overflow cut off and
Yeah,
okay.
and cropping the, I mean, cropping it to, uh, I mean,
Yeah.
placing it at center.
Okay. Yep. If you go to blog real quick, I think there's an okay. Yeah. Wow. This is so much better. This is nice. How about on mobile view? What are we looking at?
Uh, uh, on mobile view, I completely changed how it. Give me a second. And I didn't apply animations right now, but
Okay.
and this I just changed this right before the call, so it's not complete. And if we need any changes,
This is better than it was because previously you wouldn't be able to see the sub menu, the menu items. Just the
actually, what was wrong with that? I mean, I will show that. Now, as you can see, I will when I hover on home, I can do that nicely. But when I hover onto the project, it goes up. I mean, this is not a nice user experience. It's like you hover onto that and it just disappears like that. I mean, it's not a nice user experience in my.
no,
So
no. Yeah, what you've
so
got is better. I mean, it has to be functional first, and then you can. And yeah, to your point, this is not very functional. It's confusing. So wow, it really looks. It's really exciting to see the mega menu essentially basically complete. I think it's like you said, it's just a font, and then whether or not the underscore is kept. And
yeah,
like what a beautiful thing that is. It's really really something.
and a bit of animations. Animation is done totally, as you can see. So only some margin issues and some React issues there. I will fix it, and maybe I'll make a PR tonight.
Sweet, sweet. All right, that's gonna be a Merry Christmas. That's great. Does anybody have any feedback for Vineet?
I was waiting for that. Like, okay, so one thing is like the underscores that we have for the options. I think what we can do is when the user hovers on the I option, at that time the underscore grows from the left to the right with the color effect. That might be better instead of showing them by default. And in the
Okay.
mobile view,
Do you want me to remove? Okay.
yes, yes, we need
Yeah.
go ahead.
Do you want me to remove this default gray lines?
Yeah, I think miss it's my suggestion. Like by default, it should not be there, but when the user hovers over it, it should grow from left
Okay.
to right and have that
Okay.
coloring
Like
effect.
the strappy ones.
I quite don't remember that how it has worked.
Okay. As you can see, wait, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, like that would be a better thing.
Okay. They have this for the top level items only. So
Oh,
maybe they will not suit for the sub items, but
so
they
by
can certainly be for the top level items. I mean, you can't keep on hovering.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, that can be done as well. Like that's just a design element. It won't bother if we do the same.
Vineet, if you go back for a moment to ours, and you hover over the global nav. Um, okay, so right now
They
we're
won't
not.
do much thing.
Right? It might be maybe like this is one of those things like I hesitate to have an opinion because I don't know. Like there are multiple right answers, but yeah, actually, the thing that you just did, if you more or less take Nikhil's suggestion, which is that for the hyperlinks, whether they're the global nav menus or the sub menu items, that each of the hyperlinks would function in the same way, which is to start, they don't have an underline, but when you hover on any of them, they would have a small, this would grow from, ideally, this might grow from the left to the right and then fade as they roll off.
Okay, like water filling the. I mean, something like that.
Yeah. But that, yeah, you'd have the same behavior on these links here and on the ones up above, and that could work.
Okay,
Yeah,
Nikhil, you're saying something about the mobile.
yeah. So I know the mobile view is under progress. So I would just like to add it to it. Like when you complete the mobile view, I think we should be adding a down arrow or a plus arrow for the sub menu because the top level item is itself a link. So clicking on that would redirect us to that particular page.
Yeah, these are specific pages, and this is the the general page.
Yeah. So like if we don't have a arrow that would pop up the sub menu, I think that would cause a bit of confusion, like we have for the current mobile view.
Mm, okay.
Another way of phrasing that is that, like, if this is implemented as an accordion, where they're basically all collapsed until someone selects one, and then you expand to show this, like, yeah, having them all expanded by default is perhaps not desirable.
Okay. I mean, if you're so much impressed about Strappy, they also have the same.
They do, don't they? They do the animation, the same animation in mobile as
So they completely. I mean, they by default all drop all the options submenus.
they do have the they do animate it, but
Yeah,
like but to your point, they just expose it all. They don't make
yeah.
you sub nav. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know that there's a wrong like. I think there are multiple right answers, or like um, they've done an awesome job. I mean, like if it works like theirs, like it's hard to. We don't. You know, Austin will tell you we don't desire to be a straight up copy of all of the sites per se, but starting there and launching from there is not. We're not. We wouldn't be going wrong. We might improve. Anyway, point is, yeah, I don't know. Like the lack of, to me, like the lack of differentiation between. So one of the things that they've done is when you're looking at the mobile view for Strappy and for the global nav items, they'll have color coded those as headings, and so they help you visually differentiate between individual submenus, and we're
Yeah.
not just yet. So that you know,
I mean, the font here is font size is a bit big. I mean, it is not showing correctly, but yeah, I wanted to change the font. I mean, what do you call
yeah,
font style too? But I mean, font not font style, but font
family, yeah.
density, something like that.
Oh, the yeah, the weight, the
The font weight. Okay.
nice, and then maybe give them a little bit of margin between them or something like, yeah, basically, if you're going to display them all at the same time, a little bit of a font weight, a little bit of a separation between the individual menus, maybe potentially put the yeah. That's probably enough. I don't know. There's yeah, and if you did implement an accordion or if you did put an arrow or something like I don't know that that's wrong either. This is a great functional starting point. I think we can improve from it. Eventually, what we'll probably consider is that home probably goes away because we're not going to because people can click on layer 5 if they want to go home, and the other homes we left them there just so that it was convenient for us as developers to go over and look at those other themes and see what they look like, those other
And
designs.
they have this context menu. I don't know if you saw this. If you right click on that, and there is something that context menu sort of.
Oh yeah, hell yes, yeah, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that isn't
So
on more sites.
so maybe we can the what these options could be placed there,
Yeah.
and all the branding stuff also can be kept
Oh
there,
yeah.
maybe,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, yeah,
like
please.
they
That's
download
exactly what
logo.
it's exactly what people do all the time, which is they're like, oh, I need the logo for the thing. And they try to go over and then they fumble and they sometimes they'll grab the PNG or they'll grab like depends on what the site has published. But yeah, that's that's exactly why someone would be right clicking on the logos. They want to grab a copy of the and then yeah, please do this. That'd be great.
Okay, and then what all the options we are doing it? I mean, only the logo stuff and the branding stuff.
It could just be it could just be one link to tell them to or it could be two, but it's basically to get them to go to the /brand page because we do
Okay.
have zip files of the we do have brand kits. So yeah, you could give them a link directly to a .zip file and to the page, but minimally you want to give them a link to the page. That's,
And do we also need this classic modern hosting?
nope. I think we're just about to the point where we're almost to the point where we can delete the entire home itself goes away, the whole thing.
Yeah. So we actually I'm home and projects that both show the same sub menus, sub items, and so you can. I mean the featured items. So maybe if even if we remove that, there's nothing going, nothing
Right.
of any loss.
We didn't lose anything. Yeah. Nice. Beautiful. Okay.
And also one more thing, and like for the this action item, action link, this should be from the Strappy backend. Should it be learn more or see more or visit the website, something like that? It should be from the backend.
That'd be nice. Yeah, that'd be nice to be able to, customize a little bit, like because um, on the learn menu, it is more about, it could be learn more, whereas on the project menu, it could be try now, or it could, yeah, they have read their story, discover the program. Yeah, that would be great if we can customize it. It looks like it's a per featured item capability.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I don't,
So that should be from the backend.
yeah. And the thing is it would seem like the way that would be implemented was that you would have that as a front matter metadata on the MDX
Yep.
files. Okay.
Yes.
That's, yeah.
Also the here these links in the design, Figma design, we don't have them, so it was it was done I mean intentionally, or
Or just maybe out of, hey, maybe it was, no, I mean, it was probably just a V1 and we're not entirely sure what we should, if we should put something there, and if we did, what it would be. Um, um, Having that flexibility built in would be nice. Because it might, because like, yeah, if you go to the projects link, it might be that like at the bottom there, we might want to say like, try Meshery now, or on the community menu, it might be that like, we've got the 2 featured events, but it might also be see our community or, subscribe to the community calendar. Like, yes, is the answer to what you're saying. Like, it would be nice to be able to put additional call outs at the bottom left-hand side.
yeah, that could be the version. I mean, second next version of
Yeah.
the.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a big thing to change in the backend. Just add the metadata on something like that.
Yeah, that's probably, yeah, I suppose that's probably about right. That there isn't a set, yeah, that you would be modifying the menu itself, or the config for the menu. Like if you externalize those as variables, then yeah, we lost them. Awesome. Well, we had a nice 2-hour marathon on the. Oh, here comes Vineeth.
Okay, lost connection.
Yeah, if you're able to, yes, you're right that those call outs wouldn't necessarily be coming from MDX files, but rather centrally configured in the menu itself. But if you're able to variabilize those as like strings that you can configure, it will be easier for those that are maintaining, and they won't feel as nervous going into the code, so to speak, to update them. So we lost his audio. I'll catch up with him on Slack and maybe let everybody else go. Anybody have anything else? Nice. Vishal, did we get you anything to work on? Nice. And Vishal, if not, and if you'd like something, then okay, yeah, he left as well. All right, Vineeth, yeah, if you can externalize those links, that would be great.
Actually, I'm having internet issues with my internet, so maybe we can catch up later.
Okay, I'll Slack you.
Okay, sure.
Thank you all. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you, Nikhil, Treaty, Austin.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye everyone.